Yeah, I got the game all in my hand. Ooh.
What's up, Laker fans? Welcome to LAKERLAND, where we discuss everything going on in the Lakers sphere. I am Christian, aka Mr. All the Above, and today we are going to be talking the new hiring of Darvin Ham. We have a new head coach, and I also want to talk about the old fling of Russell Westbrook and where that currently stands. So let's get right into it. I want to start it off by saying thank you, Frank Vogel. I know that will go completely under the radar, and I really hope the man can find another job sooner than later. He was a championship coach. Let's say that one more time. He is a championship coach, and without him, we will not have won that championship in 2020. So let's please acknowledge my man Frankie V and what truthfully ended on the most sour note possible. I'm still disrespected myself on how we ended terms with Frank Vogel, as the man got fired before the game was even over, before his season was even over, in a Woj tweet, essentially. Disrespectful way to go about things, but I really hope Frank Vogel gets his respect across the league, and it should be well known that without him, without the defensive scheme he put into place in that 2020 season, without the mentality he surrounded that roster with, without him giving a role and having everybody recognizing their role that year, Frank helped build the identity that won us a championship, that defense mentality that won us a championship, and that will always be respected in my heart, and I cannot thank that man enough. Again, very salty how we ended things, ultimately because I don't think it was his fault for the most part, but a conversation for maybe a different minute of this episode. But regardless, let's talk about Darvin Ham, the Lakers' new head coach, a first-time head coach. And I know there's a lot of question marks just around that. We're LA, and for whatever reason, because of that stigma, we want all the big names. I'm sorry, man. If you would have put Doc Rivers in the seat and then also keep Russell Westbrook, this might have been the hardest, and we just came off of a very hard season to watch. But this would have been one of the hardest seasons to watch, and I'm saying that before it would have even happened. I'm glad we didn't go with the flashy name. I'm glad we didn't go with the usual LA pick. You know, we like name values over sometimes pure talent and over the right decision sometimes. And I'm glad ultimately we went with Darvin Ham. Obviously, he has the unproven track record as a head coach. But as far as what he did as assistant, I mean, listen, I can't act like I know the value of an assistant coach. It's only the value that I give it to in my mind. But with that being said, he was assistant under Mike for the Hawks run, where they were a great regular season team. I do want to preference that. And a assistant coach under the Bucks, where he actually won a championship. And he coached under Mike Budenholzer for both of those runs. He was also assistant with the Lakers back in the day. But gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Budenholzer as a coach. For a long time at least, I thought he was definitely a regular season coach, as he did with that Hawks team, as he did with that Bucks team. And truthfully, nobody would talk about it, but if he didn't win that championship with the Bucks the year he did, he might have been on the hot seat. And maybe Darvin Ham would have been the coach, and who knows what would have gone down from there. But that's the alternate universe that we are not living in. And ultimately, the Bucks did win. Darvin Ham obviously has another ring on his finger. And here we are, man. Darvin Ham is our new head coach. And I did want to wait until I saw the man and I heard the man speak. So I waited for his press conference before I made a video, which ultimately is unfortunate because now I see he's on a podcast that I usually listen to. So now I got to go ahead and listen to that. And that content that I hear won't be a part of this video, but neither here or there. Anyways, my impressions of Darvin Ham from what I've seen, from what I've heard so far. Listen, I do wanna say it's very hard not to impress somebody in a press conference, in my opinion. I was impressed when I heard Luke Walton speak. I was impressed when I heard Frank speak. And granted, yes, I still will stand on my Frank stand-em. He is a great guy. But with that being said, the man said all the right things. I can see why he got picked for the job. He is, it seems like, overall due to be a head coach. And the whole stigma of a first-time head coach doesn't get to me too much. We're seeing a spark of new first-time head coaches that are succeeding, whether it's Willie Green, Monty Williams, Ime Udoka. I didn't even put the two and two together, but Steve Kerr's still a first-time head coach. So with that said, I'm not really worried about that, but it is hard to give a man who is really taking the reins of his own team for the first time the expectation of a championship off the gate, off the bat. We know we don't got many years of LeBron left, and once Bron hits the league, we can imagine Bron is gone, and we can also imagine that the drop-off, you would have to assume, is still going to be coming. Like, how many more years can LeBron just go Superman? And I think we're going to have another great season of LeBron this year. I'm pretty hopeful we'll have another great season of LeBron next year regardless. But nevertheless, you know, when you have a first-time head coach, you're putting him under pressure to get the job done when you are coaching the Los Angeles Lakers. And that is our expectation for Darvin. We want the job to get done. We want to hang number 18 in the rafters, hopefully before Celtics get to do so. And I'm just rooting for the Warriors at this point. But I am glad. I'm glad that we have a coach that, first of all, he's locked up for a while. 4-year deal, to my knowledge. Frank Vogel did not get that respect when he initially signed. So I'm glad that we have a coach that may be going past LeBron's tenure as a Laker and can also be the coach of the future and the coach of the present. So that does please me, man, because I'm kind of exhausted of having a new coach every 3 years, every 2 years. We've been fumbling with a ton of coaches since we've lost Phil Jackson. And I would love some consistency here of, all right, this is our coach now. He's going to be the coach for the next decade. I would love that. Obviously, Darvin has to hold up his end of the bargain. But from what I'm hearing, man, I like the first impression that the man is giving me. He seems to be a guy that isn't defense first, well, yes, defense first, but isn't on a defense or offense side. He's on the side of, listen, if you get stops, you will score on the other end. He's preaching a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of just knowing your role, and you know what, you play hard, you're going to get the results. He preached a lot of the idea that it is going to be a long season and the goal is to get better as the season progresses, as the season continues. So come playoffs, we are ready in the most tip-top shape. He mentioned health. All the buzzwords I needed to hear as a Laker fan, but we do got to address the elephant in the room. And he was literally in the room trolling, how I felt at least, trolling every Laker fan with a big smile on his face, and that elephant is Russell Westbrook. Man, him being on this team next year was not on my bingo card whatsoever. I thought the moment the season ended, we will never see Westbrook in a jersey again. And I was excited with that thought. So the fact that all directions, all signs are pointing that we are not going to get rid of the man. Gonna be honest, it is a little bit disappointing. It's a little bit underwhelming. It set my expectation of next season back about 20 steps. And if Westbrook is on this team next year, because obviously it's not official yet, although again, it sucks and I do think it's disrespectful, but all those smiles in that room, it can go away if Charlotte Hornets offer us a good trade package. And they'll be like, all right, well, Russ, thank you for your service. Have fun in Charlotte. Have fun in Indiana. Have fun in Oklahoma. So the idea of Westbrook on the team isn't a definite just yet, but all signs, it seems like, is pointing there. So we do have to, at least myself, I'm mentally preparing myself to deal with another season of Westbrook. And I want to start off by saying, I am not trying to root against Westbrook at all. Last season, I was fairly optimistic almost the entire year that a switch will be hit. You know, he'll hit his January, February, March strides, and as we go into the playoffs, things will work itself out. I was optimistic. My optimism ended up being absolutely destroyed as the season continued, and it was unpleasant. I really hated watching last season, and I hated the Russell Westbrook experience. With that being said, if the man is on the team next year, I have no choice but to root for him. I am a Laker fan. I am not trying to actively root against somebody. New coach, I am hopeful to the idea that maybe Westbrook can work under different circumstances, under a roster that was built a little more proper. You know, Frank Vogel was really handed a shit on a stick last year and was told, hey, make this smell good. This year, it seems like Ham is going to be working with Pelinka a little more constructively to build the roster he desires, which I feel like we didn't do that with Frank last year, but not hearsay, neither here or there. So could it work with a differently constructed roster, with a different coach, with a different game plan? It is possible. I mean, at the end of the day, anything is possible. It is just the idea of it failing once again and us wasting years of Laker legends that we're hoping to build a dynasty. Parts of me needs to reserve judgment until I see how the roster comes out, but ultimately, man, I've seen the list of free agents. I don't see us doing any trades if we're not getting rid of Westbrook. I believe we probably got to get rid of THT, which is unfortunate. If you want to be real, I believe THT still has potential. I know we're quick to write them off when they don't succeed after a few years in a Lakers jersey, but he was also set up to fail as well last year because, go figure, playing with Westbrook hurt his value, hurt his stock. A year without Westbrook, maybe that does him wonders. So I feel like THT is going to get traded. He's going to succeed somewhere else. We're probably not going to get much back in the trade. And now all of a sudden, whoever it is, Detroit Pistons has a good potential young talent on its hands with an affordable contract. And it's all of a sudden, oh, Lakers gave away another young player. Imagine the roster if they had THT, Lonzo, Ingram. And, you know, the whole fantasy bullshit that Twitter likes to play. With the list of free agents, with a low-value trade asset in THT, what can you really turn this roster into? I'm going to need to see some Pelinka magic this offseason. I really do. I am a fan of Rob Pelinka. I'm still a fan of Rob Pelinka. I won't let that bad offseason last year change my perspective of him too much, but ultimately, man, I'm hearing Darvin Ham speak, and although I love what he's saying, I love the type of mentality he's trying to bring to the team, but ultimately, it sounds like the mentality that we once had, a.k.a. in 2020, 2 years removed. The mentality that Rob Pelinka basically deconstructed by deconstructing the roster. We won a championship, and then we had a large turnover the next season, losing all the values that helped us win a championship. And then the season after, we tried to bring some of those values back, and we built a roster that wasn't compatible with the coach and a roster that wasn't compatible with basketball. So there is some doubt in my mind when it comes to keeping Westbrook, because I feel like we have to do more to make it work than what it would be to make it work without him. And that is the line that I'm going back and forth in my head. And realistically, man, if we have Westbrook on this season next year, Darvin Ham said he had the conversation with him, and the big word was sacrifice. I would argue that I think we should sacrifice some picks and maybe get rid of Westbrook, but you know that's a conversation that definitely is debatable. And ultimately, I don't know if that sacrifice is worth it. You know, sacrificing that future for the now, especially if the return on Russell Westbrook isn't all that. Pelinka is in a hard situation. He is in a tough situation. So is Darvin Ham. The man is going to have to try to make it work if he's stuck with Westbrook. And I think he can. I'm going to be hopeful, and I'm going to say that I think he can. And it's all about the Russell Westbrook buy-in. Clearly, last year, he was not bought into the idea of Frank Vogel. And I'm hoping that, listen, I am trying to root for you, man. I am hoping that you are humbled in some sort of form of fashion. You did not have the season you desired last year, I would imagine. Definitely wasn't the season we desired as a fan. And at this point, you have to be aware of the fact that nobody wants you on their team. It has to be a humbling thought. We have to pay to get rid of you. We have to sacrifice to get rid of you. So with that being said, if you can sacrifice some ego, some pride, put that to the side, and just do what is asked for you as a player. I love the idea of, listen, Westbrook is a ball full of energy, of explosiveness. He's one of the most explosive athletes we've ever had. And yeah, some of that explosiveness is obviously gone, but he still has that talent there. Can you turn that over and start it on the defensive end? We haven't seen that much of his career. I will be shocked if we can see that now, but if Darvin Ham is the man to get it out of him, let's go. Let's get it out of him. Sacrifice. Put your pride to the side, and if your role is coming off the bench, come off the bench. Now that is going to be something that we'll have to keep an eye on. I don't think we see it, at least initially. I think it would take another failure of a season, unfortunately, and I would hate that that's what it takes. But I think that that's what it would have to take to get Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. I just don't see a world where we even have another option as a point guard, unless we want to run Braun as point, which I don't think we're gonna, go back into. I just don't see another option where we have Russell Westbrook not starting. At the end of the day, if Russ doesn't work for the first half of the season, maybe we can peddle the contract off at the deadline, trade for something, we can figure it out. Russ, although he was part of the problem, we have LeBron James and we have Anthony Davis. 2 All-NBA players. Currently All-NBA players. I mean, Anthony Davis should be an All-NBA player. He just got to stay healthy, and he just got to hopefully take that step we saw him take in that finals, in that playoffs of 2020, and commit to that throughout the whole season. I feel like Anthony Davis, as of lately, got comfortable in taking it easy. We can't afford no more taking it easy. We have to build something once again. And I know it sucks because we just built something recently, but that something was destroyed. And we now have to make sandcastles out of the ashes. Braun and AD should be the focal point. Russell Westbrook is there to play a role. And let's see if he can understand, and let's see if Darvin Ham has a role for him. I mean, that was the argument last year, right? Westbrook did not know his role. And it could be true. I wasn't behind the scenes. I wasn't in the locker room. I wasn't in the hotel room when he sent the bottle of champagne to Frank Vogel. Wasn't there. We're going to be there this year. And I'm going to be watching him under a microscope if he is on the roster. But even that, I don't want to, criticize the guy for every move he makes. I just want him to give us, I know it's a stigma that, he's going to give you 120%. He's going to give you his heart. He's going to leave it all out there. As a Laker fan last year, I didn't see that. I didn't see the buy-in of Russell Westbrook, but it's a new year. It's a new coach. It's a new system. Russell Westbrook is the reason Frank Vogel is gone. Lakers chose Westbrook over Vogel. If that isn't enough buy-in on our end for you to buy in on your end, I don't know what more is. Listen, I'll prefer a season next year where Westbrook is not on the roster. I feel like all Laker fans are on the same boat there. But the matter of reality is that it might not be the best solution for the front office. It might not be the best solution for our future. And we might have to just go through another season of Russell Westbrook. So, as a Laker fan and as somebody who's speaking to potential and hopeful Laker fans as well, let's be optimistic. Let's not shut it down just yet. I don't want to set the man up for failure. Let's hopefully put him in a position to win. If he claims he was not in a position to succeed last year, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, because even though I would like to hold on to the idea that Frank Vogel did everything right, he's unemployed right now for a reason, I would think. And let's give Westbrook another fair shake. God, I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, what else are we going to do? What else? Are we going to just keep complaining on Twitter? That's not going to do anything. So we might as well be optimistic and hope that if we do have Westbrook on the team next year, Darvin Ham is the man to make it work. I'm hopeful. Listen, like I said, Darvin Ham, off of the first impression, said everything I wanted to hear. I am rooting for the man 110%. You're in a Lakers, I guess not jersey. I guess not Lakers suit. You're in a Lakers position. You know what I'm saying. You're essentially in a Lakers jersey. You're in a Lakers jersey, and we are always going to be behind you 110%. And Westbrook, man, listen, if come the first day of the season you are in a Lakers jersey as well, whether I like it or not, I am a Lakers fan, and I will be behind you 100. I can't say 110%, man. I really can't. 75%. Yes, 75%. I am behind you, but please, man, just give us some effort, and we'll be here all summer to talk about it. I can't wait to see how this roster builds out. Everybody has a job to do this offseason. That's Ham, Pelinka, Braun, AD, potentially Russell Westbrook. And at the end of the day, let's do what we got to do. Let's make the sacrifices. Let's do what it takes to get the job done. Laker fans' only expectation is championships. It's lofty. It's high every year. But, man, who's to say we can't grab it? There's more parity in the league than ever. And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful when you got 2 All-NBA talent. And let's see where it takes us. I'm always going to be optimistic. I'm always going to be hopeful. So, fans, where do you guys currently stand? How do you like the hiring of Darvin Ham? What do you think of the idea of keeping Westbrook? Whether it's by force, by choice, by just lack of better options. Where do you guys currently stand with that? Let me know down below. We'll be here talking all summer on Laker moves. I really do try to get a video out a week. I know that hasn't been the timeline I've been on, but I'll be here this summer to discuss how it shakes out. So guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and Laker fans, if I don't see you, have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah, I got the game all in my hand, ooh, and yeah, pop out with the drip and make a fan drool. You could risk it if you want, this ain't no fan duel. Yeah, I'm in a Benz cool, yeah, stepping for the breeze.